Hello, everybody, and welcome to this awesome class that we got. We're going to focus a lot on deal finding in this class, and where are the hidden gems and the discounted houses. We're going to unveil the secrets, right, and how to unearth some of these hidden gems for you. So, without further ado, let's get started. And I want to also take this opportunity to congratulate you for joining us and learn, how you can control your financial future by finding the right deals in real estate investments. In business, we always talk about the different kind of arbitrage, right? Arbitrage means seeing the difference between something and then take advantage of that gap. For example, an example would be, say, I'm buying low, selling high, right? And when I can make money on that gap, that's an arbitrage in the price arbitrage. When it comes to information, there's also information arbitrage, right? By learning and understanding how we can find deals and make the deals happen. We now have a lot more information than those who have not obtained this information, and we can create a lot of value, right? We can make money, profit. We can create something awesome out of this. So that's what our focus is today, is by taking advantage of this information arbitrage and beat our competition and also win some deals. Okay. I think by now, we're all here because we know real estate investment is a very lucrative business. You probably personally know somebody who has invested in real estate in the past years and made a lot of big profits or built a substantial wealth. I personally have met somebody that has acquired close to 100 single-family house portfolio, and she bought it before the COVID era, and now that it's after the COVID, we have seen a huge equity increase in terms of real estate properties, and so because of that, a lot of wealth was built just by holding these cash flowing assets, and we also want to be that. We also want to do the same. So this is a class where we can learn how we can do this. So in just the last 30 days, right? Discounted houses comes from distressed houses, distressed sellers, basically. In the last 30 days, we found over 14,000 of these distressed houses. 49,000 of those are pre-foreclosures. So some of the discounted houses, will come from pre-foreclosures. Actually, quite a lot of the majority of them. This is a gold mine, and we have a class called pre-foreclosure gold mine that you can learn about how to work these leads, right? How you can make a deal and get these deals in the contract and all that using pre-foreclosure leads. So a couple of success stories I want to show you. 64,500 profit on one deal, $85,610 profit in another, and then this one, 88,800 profit. I want to give a caveat here. These are kind of selected success stories, right? Not every deal is gonna be so lucrative, but there is opportunity where you can do that. So the natural question is, how do we find these deals and how do we make money? And in this class, we're gonna be going over how you can do that, how you can find great investment deals through distressed houses. So from a course standpoint, right, if you're a new investor looking for information and knowledge, how you can get started, this is the place to go. If you're an experienced investor, right, you've been buying wholesale leads, you want to learn how you can find deals yourself and generate leads for yourself, this is also a really great place you can start. from an exit strategy standpoint, right? Wholesale, fix and flip, buy and hold. And, I always find that being able to turn off distractions and notification really helps me focus. We are in this age of information and attention deficit and information deluge. There's so many things that are fighting for our attention that we're not present most of the time. And I think for an important class like this, with the information that we're going to be sharing, it's very important to reduce all those, right? Remove all those distractions so we can get the most out of it. And you can use the chat to introduce yourself, right? Connect with other folks that are attending this class, and really get the most out of your time here. And attend our other classes too. We have a series of these type of classes geared towards how to get started in real estate investment, how to find deals, and a lot of the step-by-step process of what needs to be done, along with a weekly live stream that we do. And I will share more information about the live stream towards the end of this talk. So don't miss out on those, right? Join the discussion, right? Learn through case studies, and learn through listening, and then start doing the deals yourself. We can walk you every step of the way. Disclaimer, everything we share here is for information and education purposes, and we don't offer investment, financial, or legal advice. And always do your due diligence when you make any investment decision. Some background story about myself. Over the years, I have kind of acquired some skill sets, through just, I guess, being in business. And I think what applies here would be data management, analysis, and maybe a little bit of marketing. My background is in more technical science and engineering. I was always interested in the passive income power of real estate. Through kind of the COVID time, I really experienced, what it's like to hold cash flowing real estate assets and just see the value of the asset go up. And so, a lot of the wealth got built that way, and it will continue to be built that way. So how do we hold more of these type of assets, and kind of ride the wave, so to speak? It can be very powerful. And the struggle, I think, and I think we see that too, is that number one, it's hard to find the information we need. Number two, it's hard to find good technology, apps, and all that to get started. And then it's hard to find folks that we can ask questions to, and mentors that we can go to whenever we have questions. And I personally had so many questions every single step of the way. Whatever the next step is, I had so many questions. I had to ask. I needed to find someone who can answer all those questions. And so just want to stress the importance of having mentors and coaches and people who can answer these questions, or someone who's in the same journey, and being able to help. And that's what Real Estate IQ is all about. We establish Real Estate IQ to address these pain points, right? So we have weekly webinars and classes and live streams, talking about either a class that is fundamental for real estate investments, or if it's a live stream, we go over market updates, deals updates, right? Underwriting of certain deals and case studies and all that, so we can kind of learn through real cases. And then we have obviously the distress seller data and the community that you can leverage to make deals. So I hope you're excited, because we're getting started and really talk about the details of the deal finding. Okay, so we have two two things, right? Main topics today. One is how do we make money? And we'll talk about the different business models. And the second topic is where we can find these hidden discounted houses. And again, it's about finding the distress. Money is in the deal. So how do we find the deal? If we can find the deal, we can always make a profit. So business models. Okay. So people talk about exit strategy. We call it business models because that's how we can make money out of each. So there are three main business models that we'll go over today. There are some advanced ones too, which we are not going to go over. Maybe we'll go over that in our Dealmakers live stream or our office hours. And it will be kind of case-to-case basis. Okay, but let's talk about the basic ones, right? Like this is, this is the fundamental stuff. So there are three business models. The main one, the first one is buy and hold. For buy and hold, you buy the property and you rent it out for monthly cash flow. This business requires the most capital. We have two big dollar signs because you need to put down some cash in order to hold the property. And as the property continues to cash flow, right, pays for everything, you get some operating profit, cash every month. And then also there's opportunity for equity growth and all that. Okay, it's buy and hold is a wealth generator, and we'll go over that in detail a little bit down the road. Okay, fix and flip. In fix and flip, you buy a property that's undervalued. Usually either it's it is an ugly house. I think that's a nice way to say it. Either it's an ugly house, something that has a lot of maintenance that has been deferred, or it's just something that we want to really upgrade and kind of create that appreciation. And then you sell the finished house to a home buyer, right? A retail home buyer, someone who needs to live in a house that's move-in ready. You provide that. And this requires less personal capital because you can leverage, right? If you get a house in a good deal, you can usually get financing. And there are 100% financing lenders out there that can help you fund the purchase and the repair for the property. So you don't need as much personal capital, but you still need to have some level of skin in the game. And then for wholesale, you buy a undervalued property and then you don't do anything. You may clean it up, very minimum thing. And you sell it to a fix and flipper or buy and holder. And you do that for a fee. So an average wholesale fee is about $7,000 to $8,000. This is a popular strategy for a young person, if you don't have a lot of cash, because for wholesaler, you don't need money to get started. And you can make, $7,000 to $10,000 per deal. Okay. And so here we will go over each of the business models and with a purpose of coming up with a distress offer. So assuming we already got a deal, right? How much do what's the right offer? What's the maximum amount that we can offer? It's called MAO, maximum allowable offer. Okay, so for buy and hold, we got to understand the 1% rule. The 1% rule basically says that our monthly rent needs to be at least 1% of the overall purchase of the property, which includes purchase and the repair. So in this example, if I'm paying for a house, right, overall, I'm paying for it and it's $250,000 all in, we need to make $2,500 per month in order for everything to pay itself and still yield a cash flow. And the way we can come up with an offer is to go the opposite. So what we do is we run a market analysis. It's called comparative market analysis, CMA, on rental. So if the market rent, right, based on what's being rented in the houses in the area, let's say it's around $2,500, then I do the reverse. Basically, I multiply by 100. So I got 250,000. And if the repair is 20,000, subtract that, then the highest offer that I can offer to a seller is 230,000, because all in, I'm gonna put 230K here, I put 20K here, so all in I'm at 250. I better be renting it out for 2,500. Okay, so this is a very idealized example, right? There's different fees and all that in closing, and that we are kind of ignoring, because when we follow this general rule of thumb, in general, all is kind of taken care of. So that 1% is very useful. We kind of ignore all the little fees and the noise, and kind of come up with a number that works for us. And if I want to have a little buffer, maybe I take another 5K out of this offer, 10K to kind of account for whatever fees I need to close. That's also acceptable. Now, of course, a lot of times I want to be give a high enough offer so that I can win the deal. So if I really want to win the deal, then I want to put up the highest offer that I can. Okay, so some of you may be wondering, okay, so that 1%, a monthly rent, okay, 2,500, okay, makes sense, but where does it go, right? So these are some things. 2,500, a lot of that goes to the mortgage. You got to pay taxes, insurance, there's HOA and maintenance. And if you have a property manager, you'll probably also need to include the property management fees as well. And then when you subtract all that, having that 1%, make sure that you have a decent cash flow for every house. So if you kind of, as a landlord, right, this is how, let's say, one house, we make, say 500, right? Let's take off that 75. Every month we make $500 a month. If we have 10 of these, every month we'll make 5,000, which is 60,000 a year. And if we have 20 houses, right, that's 10,000, which is pretty good way to make income. And most of it is passive. Of course, when you are running a buy and hold business, it's never 100% passive. But if you're kind of looking at a way to kind of replace your income, it wouldn't take, it's not a full-time job to manage. Again, of course, if you also have a property manager in place, it's not a full-time job to manage 20 houses. And for buy and hold, you are in the landlord business. This means that you're going to be working with a property manager, right, or directly with the tenant. And your attention is going to be on, number one, getting a place lease at all times, generating cash flow. And you always want to pay attention to your tenant quality and vacancy. So those are the things that can eat up your profit. If you have a low quality tenant, they're late on payments, they don't pay, they trash the place, right? That's going to affect your investment. And we always say that buy and hold, if provided it's a cash flowing asset, right? We got a tenant in and paying, it's a wealth generator through these four things. One is the cash flow that we just mentioned. And then the second one is appreciation. So you can hedge it against inflation. And then there are two types of appreciation too. One is called natural appreciation, which means just by holding it, the value has gone up. And say during an economic downturn, and a lot of kind of easy credit creating that appreciation, you're going to see the value of the property go up. And natural appreciation is more passive. It's not something that we need to do. We just hold it and kind of watch the value grow. So on average, the house itself naturally appreciates, and then also during economic downturn, it appreciates more significantly as well. The other type of appreciation is called forced appreciation. That means we go in there, we fix up the house, and now the house is in a much better shape, and now it's also worth more. So we force the property to appreciate in value. And then you have tax savings, right? You got depreciation, you get mortgage interest that you can write off, and then you also have operating expenses that you can write off in terms of taxes. And then every single month, as you pay down the mortgage, the principal gets paid down, so you have equity build up as well. So those four things are working combined together, working on top of each other to help you build wealth slowly. Next, let's talk about fix and flip. For fix and flip, we pay attention to the 70% rule. Okay, so let's talk about how we can apply to it. The 70% rule means that we should only pay 70% of the after repair value of the property. So let's say a house, we run the after repair value. And how do we do that? We usually would also need to run a CMA, a comparative market analysis, to see what the houses around the area are selling for and come up with the kind of estimate. So in this case, let's say it's 500,000, then 70% of that is 350. So 350 minus, say in this case, the repair budget is 70,000. Subtracting that, that's $280,000. That's my maximum allowable offer. So that means, we buy it, we fix it up, and at most we are at 70 cents to $1. The other 30%, will go into holding costs, closing costs, and financing costs and all that. So we need that buffer. Okay, where's that 30%? I kind of vaguely mentioned it. So here it is, in text. So in this case, that 30% is 150K. And these are just some idealized example, right? There's closing costs. When I acquire it, there's closing. When I sell it, there's also closing, okay? And then during the time of the rehab, I also have to be paying for holding costs and maintenance and all that. And then if we get hard money or private money as financing, we also have to pay for financial costs. So all that said, we can still make a pretty handsome profit, which is fantastic in this case. Right? Fantastic return for one project, 90,000. For fix and flip business, you're basically in the construction business, right? That means a lot of the attention will be on rehabbing the property, make sure you're on schedule, on time, right? You probably, if you're going to manage subcontractors, right, you're going to be managing them and making sure that they are producing quality work and they are available to do the work. So what's going to eat up your profit? It's going to be project delays and overrun, because that's going to cost you to say not being able to finish the project, and let's say you got extend the loan. Well, you're gonna have to pay more for the loan extension and everything for this hard money loan. For wholesale, your target market, right? Your buyers are investors. So what you want to do is, number one, you buy the distressed property and then you sell it to an investor. We were just saying that wholesale is a very popular business model for investors because when you're just starting out, you don't need a lot of capital to get started, right? You just need to put in a lot of effort in the marketing side. And what you need is to invest in your marketing, right? Get really good at closing, acquiring the deals, and you make your wholesale fees by selling to an investor, kind of taking care of the acquisition side for them. And in wholesale, you're in the marketing business, marketing, lead generation. You're going to be paying attention to marketing, acquiring properties at a price where you can make a wholesale fee, right? So a wholesaler competing with a fix and flip investor, for example, it's hard for them to compete for a particular deal because a fix and flipper can afford to offer a little bit more directly to the seller than a wholesaler can. However, a wholesaler tends to do much more, spend more money on the marketing too. You have more leads. And so even if you lose on a particular deal, you might be able to win some of the other deals. A lot of the investors usually they start out buying deals from wholesalers, and then over time, as they gain more experience and on how to I guess talk to distressed sellers and all that, they choose to do their own marketing and acquire the properties for themselves. And this can be a good strategy if you want to have control of your deal flow. When you're counting on someone else to bring in the deal, your pipeline is harder to control. If you want to kind of control your own pipeline and your deal flow, that's certainly something to consider. And then you can also pick and choose the best deals, and then you can wholesale to the rest to other investors. In this case, right, if you're gonna do some of that, right, while you have your personal fix and flip business, is that you are starting a small wholesaling operation, and you're choosing to invest in your marketing operation in order to achieve that. All right, so as a wholesaler, how do I make offer, right? What's the offer I can make? So here's an example. So in the last example for buy and hold investor, if I want to make my $10,000 wholesale fee instead of $230K, I want to offer $220K. And then I can, when I offer it here, then I sell it to a buy and hold investor for $230K. Then I can make my wholesale fee of $10,000. And for selling to a fix and flip, well, I can put my wholesale fee here. In this case, I choose to want to make $20,000. Then my distress offer is $260. So you can put it under contract for $260. I can sell it to a fix and flipper and make $20,000. So to recap, for buy and hold, you need the most capital to get started because you need the money to hold it. Now, one thing that you could do is to do a BRRRR. So you buy a house that needs to get fixed up. You fix it up, and then you refinance, and that allows you to have less money in the deal, less equity. So that's also something that a lot of people do too after a couple of deals. In general, you're in the landlord business. Now, again, when you do BRRRR, then you are doing two. You're doing the construction and the landlord. Fix and flip, you're in the construction business. You're going to be focusing on the rehab project, make sure it goes well, and then you can sell the finished product at the aftermarket value. And then if you're in wholesale, then you're in the marketing business. You're going to be talking about marketing to distressed sellers, acquiring the property at a good price, managing your marketing pipeline, and lead generation, and making that wholesale fee. Okay, next, now this is our kind of like keynote topic, right? This is the secrets of finding the distressed houses. That's how you get the discounted houses. This is the most exciting segment. Now, if you're an experienced investor, you know that the money is made when you acquire a deal at a good price. And the secret of acquiring great deals, right, is through distressed sellers. And that's the power of live data. I want to introduce the topic of live data. And live data is basically a signal in life, right? Something that is happening to a person's life. And life is happening every day, right? We live through life. We have our life journey, and there are different phases in our life that changes our lives. So we're kind of looking for that life-changing data, right? And kind of on a macro level, life happens every day. New babies are born every day. Some people die every day. Some people get married, right? And some people get divorced, and some people get in financial issue, right? They get laid off or whatnot, right? And they can't pay their mortgage. So if we can monitor these live data, then we would know sometimes we can predict, sometimes we just know because of that trigger that they're distressed because these are life-changing events. If if you have gone through, or if you reflect in your own life and the different type of life-changing events like moving to another city, um, getting married, right, having kids, and all that, you would likely agree that they're so powerful, right? When your life happens, we just have to deal with it. All we can do is kind of play catch up, enjoy life, but you have to kind of deal with it. And so anybody that comes with us to help us solve our problems and our pain points, we highly appreciate that. And so imagine that, as a marketer, right, we have access to the life signals. And when somebody, got married, a lot of times they need to upsize, right? If especially if they have kids, they have more people in the family, they got to upsize. When they get divorced, very likely they're going to end up selling the house. When a loved one dies, they're going to inherit the house. Maybe they want to keep the house, maybe they don't. And so by being able to stay on top of this kind of life data, we can utilize it as marketers to offer solutions to them. And I'm not just talking about, we're talking about as real estate investors, right, buying the house, but it's the kind of idea is bigger than that, right? Having this access to this kind of life data helps us kind of predict what are some of the things that they're going to do in the near future. For example, I think Target kind of keeps track of different people's kind of buying patterns and life data, and they can kind of predict when someone is going to get pregnant and so when someone's going to have kids. Those are the stories that I hear. I don't know how accurate it is. So, but I believe that, right? Being a marketer myself and being, having the understanding of this type of data. So to find people that are motivated to sell or distressed, right? We want to find the folks that are in some kind of financial distress. If you can get a hand on this kind of life data, then then we can help them out, and in a way, being able to buy the property at a distressed price, and still being able to help them, right? And a lot of times they need to sell fast to get out of a bad situation. So real estate is not liquid, right? So if you need to sell fast, you're gonna have to kind of take a discounted offer. So let's talk about different types of distress. Okay, and these are kind of the lit data that we can mine and we can focus on. Okay, the first one is a pre-foreclosure list, right? These are folks that are about to lose their house in an upcoming foreclosure auction. And many investors like to market to these distressed sellers because they tend to be in a more desperate situation, right? They have to sell fast. If they don't sell it by the foreclosure auction, they're gonna lose everything. And then there's potentially a deficiency judgment the lender can use to go after them. So for pre-foreclosures, you're reaching them before the houses hit the auction, and you can directly negotiate with the seller. From a pricing standpoint, they're pretty affordable, $200 to $300 a month, and you can get really, really awesome leads that are ready to close very quickly too. Okay, so one of the favorite lists out there. And as with all kinds of marketing efforts, sometimes when you try to outreach to someone, some people appreciate your outreach, some people don't. You can choose to we choose to work with the folks that appreciate our outreach and being there to solve their problem. But of course, not everyone is appreciative too. And what's a joy in life if we work with folks that stress us out, right? So I usually work with the folks that are pleasant to work with. Okay, so that's the pre-foreclosure. Okay, there's another type, which is called appointment of substitute trustee. And in short, it means a pre-foreclosure. It means that it happens usually before it goes to foreclosure. And what that really is about is that when a national lender, right, forecloses on a borrower, many times they wouldn't, send somebody to a local county to process the foreclosure. So what they do is they would appoint or assign a substitute trustee that are in that local county to do the foreclosure proceedings. And so when we see that, that's a signal that, okay, a notice of sale or the foreclosure, it's gonna go onto the pre-foreclosure list. But now you're able to kind of reach them a little bit sooner. In some cases, not all cases, you have more time to reach out to these distressed sellers. So we call it pre-foreclosure. It's also a very popular list amongst savvy investors because it gives you more time to kind of nurture and work with the motivated sellers. We have a class called pre-foreclosure gold mine. And again, we go deep into how to work these leads. So if you're interested, make sure you join that class, okay? Next, we have probate. This is another popular life signal for real estate investors. And what that means is, someone has passed away. He or she owned a real estate property. Not all heirs that inherit the property want to keep the house. Maybe they want to sell it to settle, some of the expenses and all that, right? Maybe there's some debt from the passing person that that needs to get settled. The estate needs to sell, or maybe it's just you can keep them, but it's a headache to keep it to upkeep. Not everybody wants to be a landlord, and so upkeep and maintenance, right? Not everybody is interested in dealing with that. And experienced investors love probate because they're extremely lucrative, right? Typically, when a person dies, they have already paid off the property, or there's a big equity on those properties, and so you can offer a cash offer, and everybody can win. And because they're so lucrative, the leads are also very expensive. They're usually about $3 per lead. Okay, and then another major type is eviction. Right, these are tire landlords. There are two types that you can take advantage of. One is a professional landlord. This is somebody who owns a portfolio of properties. They have been building it for years and holding it for years. They have kind of built a lot of wealth with it too, but now they're ready to just sell and retire. And this is a fantastic situation because you get all that, the entire portfolio, and your problem is going to be, okay, how do I sell this portfolio of deals, which is a good problem to have. Maybe we can help you with that too. We have a lot of investors in our community. And the second type, which is more common, and actually a Zillow report just stated that there has been a way uptick in accidental landlords. These are the folks that maybe they buy another house, right? Because of life change, they need a bigger house or smaller house, and now they have the old house, and now they are, they decided to lease out, but now they have eviction, right? The tenant stopped paying, and they have to evict them. That's a bad taste in the mouth. They don't want to do this anymore. They want to sell. So we can take the problem off their hands. They're motivated. Divorce, we deal with this a lot. Maybe the court has ordered the seller to sell. Maybe you need to have cash to kind of pay off the ex, And that's also a expensive list, about $3 per lead. Okay, then we have taxes, right? In the beginning, the person owes, they're delinquent in paying for the property taxes, and then after a certain amount of time passed, then the county decides to put it into a tax foreclosure, and so you owe property taxes. So those are also very motivated sellers. Depending on, right, if it's tax foreclosure, they are very desperate. Delinquent taxes, sometimes the amount is not very high. So we usually filter out the ones that have a higher delinquent tax amount. Moving on, there are also code violations, right? A couple of ones that we look for are tall grass, exposed roof, or unsafe type of violation. The city has this information, and they have their own codes. A lot of the codes are very similar across different cities. The distress is that they can't keep it up, and so that's something we would love to market to as well. And then there are liens. They owe money either to the IRS, Uncle Sam, or they owe a mechanics lien, right? They owe a contractor, or there's a hospital lien, which means they owe the hospital some medical bills. Okay. And an age-old question is, well, do I just do it myself, or do I buy it? And if you know how to mine all this information, right? Get court papers and all that, you can do it yourself. I personally would suggest that if you have the time, you can learn how to do it. But if you're going to operate a business, you don't want to spend the time to do that. Usually you want to kind of outsource that so you can really focus your time and energy into the outreach, which requires a more kind of personal touch, talking to the distressed sellers and all that. You may want to do it just to learn how it's done, if you have the time, like I said. But when I'm running a business operations, I just don't have time to mine the data myself. It's much easier to buy it from a reliable source. So, but we want to share with you kind of the workflow, right? How do you do it? You go on for pre-foreclosures, you can look this up. Once you get a notice of sale, basically, all the information is on. A lot of the information is on here. Here's another example of the notice of sale. Now, what you have to do is you actually have to kind of aggregate the information. So the notice of sale has some information. You also need to go to the CAT, the County Appraisal District website, to get how many bedroom, bathroom, and the assessed value. And then you also need to look at the deed of trust, right? Get some loan information to get the following. So you get the borrower's information, the bank's information, and address, all that. And then you gotta figure out the financial information. You can mine all that information. So all of this is available. It's just a lot. It's just a lot to do. And so it's much easier to outsource it. It's kind of our conclusion. Okay, probate, you can look up, go to a probate court and look that up. And these are the information. The decedent, is there a real property? Sometimes there's no real estate property there. And then, you can also kind of read the filing and capture all this information. Delinquent taxes, you can pay the county. So, all of this combined takes about 15 to 20 minutes of research per record, especially for the pre-foreclosure and probate. And it's just a lot of leads. I think it's just so much easier to use the data and instead of doing it. But that would just be my suggestion. Anyway, a quality list is gonna tend to have these type of information, and you want to pay attention to the update frequency and all that. The last thing is just kind of want to go over. A lot of folks would kind of look at the equity percentage as a filter. When you have all the information, maybe there's like 1,000 leads. Well, do I market to 1,000 people or do I market to 100 people? And you may have different approaches. Some people prefer to have a more focused list for driving there, door knocking, or doing outreach. And if you want to kind of shrink your list, you tend to kind of look at the address, right? What zip code makes sense for you, the equity percentage, and some people care about if there is already a loan modification or loan type, different kind of loan type in place. So you can kind of create, after you get this list, you can kind of filter it down to your own list, and then you can create a niche that you can dominate in because you specialize in that particular type of distressed sellers. So kind of already talked about that. The most important thing, I think, especially for quick foreclosure, is the freshness, right? The speed to the leads is very important. Okay, so we still have some time, so I want to use this time to share a case study with you. And this is a property that we acquired in Mart, Texas, which is about 20 minutes from Waco in Texas. And the owner owed about $3,500 in mortgage. Right, so he was behind in the payment, and we were able to reach him. He said that the house needed AC fix, septic system, new paint, and we estimated the rehab budget to be about $30 per square feet. He owes $105,000, and it was a price for $365-ish, and he wants $230,000 to $240,000 as an offer. And what was interesting is that this house, it has 20 acres of land attached to it, and the land is in the opportunity zone, which gives favorable tax treatment on capital gains. And so that was kind of intriguing for us. So when we evaluated this, right, we used the 70% rule of thumb, and we decided to offer $215,000. Okay, if I were to wholesale it, I would take $10,000 off of this and try to make $10,000 of wholesale fee. So these are some before photos, right? The gate going in, you got to go in quite a bit, and then there's 20 acres of land, as you can see in here. This is what the kitchen looks like inside. There's a kind of big area. I don't know if I would call it an island, but this area is kind of dividing the kitchen from the rest of the living room. And then we have some photos of the bathrooms, bedrooms. Okay, and then we started, we acquired the property, and then we started improving it. So phase one is called a demo. So we rip everything off. You're gonna see a lot of activities and a big change, right? You're ripping off the carpet, you're ripping off everything. Okay, so that's what these looks like. And then phase two, started working on the outside, and the inside already got ripped off. Everything got ripped out, and we painted the interior. First coat or first two coats of paint. And then in here, you can kind of see like there was a addition that the original owner added here, but it was very low ceiling. It wasn't built to code. And at first we thought, okay, maybe we can use the additional square footage, but it turned out to be too expensive to bring it back up to code. So the decision after that was to remove it and change the entryway into a window. So that's what we're seeing here. And then, in the middle of the kind of bathroom. Okay, this is during. So here, the addition got removed out here, and we added a window. And you can see the gate has been painted. So now it's looking nice and pretty. Things are starting to come together in phase 2. We decided to rebuild the kitchen cabinet, and that increased our rehab cost. But we thought that that makes sense because of the quality of the rehab that we're going to be the price point we're going to be selling it at. Needs to have a nicer kitchen cabinet. Okay, this is the bathroom, kind of almost done. Bedrooms, and then here, this is phase 3. We're almost done here. So you can see we added an island with a sink here, but now the kitchen and kind of the living area is all right. It's much more open, and the entire space is just like it looks huge and very comfortable. You can see the kitchen cabinet. Okay, and here we got countertop installed now. Bathroom, So it's looking like a really, really nice house, especially with the exterior paint on the outside. The kitchen is also looking great. And then here you can see we added some shelves in the kitchen. So, this photo is almost done. Really nice butcher block countertop. These are some photos of the bathroom, also looking really great. So all in all, financial wise, we leverage hard money and private money to acquire the property. And kind of next step is either sell it at 500K or refi. And I think kind of now what we're looking at is what if we sell the house with 3-4 acres of land, and then we keep the rest of the acreage, and because of the opportunities zone, and do more out of it. Okay, so I hope that's an exciting case study here for you. Just kind of the whole way, right? Not just how to find deals, but what we decided to do. Always find these kind of transformation really, really interesting. So I hope you enjoyed it too. So to recap, we talk about how you can make money in each of the main business models, right? Buy and hold, fix and flip, wholesale. The different types of distressed sellers that you can reach out to and where to find them. We also went through a case study of like kind of how exactly we found that distressed seller, the type of distressed seller it was, and then acquiring the house and actually, improving on the house. So, by now you're probably asking, okay, how do I get started? Okay, if I want to kind of start going, well, this is what you should do. Number one is you need to get a pre-foreclosure list. The more research, the better. You can also ask for other type of lists, but we recommend the pre-foreclosure because, there are so many foreclosures that are happening. We're seeing a trend of more foreclosures happening as well nationally. So you can get first-hand data, right? Freshest data available, and on the market, we're talking about $200-$300 easy on a monthly basis every metro, and we are offering this very disruptive pricing that's not gonna last for a very long time. And so you can scan this QR code to schedule a time and sign up for it. But the data is not enough. You kind of need someone who can walk you through what needs to be done. So you want to find a mentor, coach. We have a deal accelerator program. If you're interested in getting someone to hold you accountable and help you form the right habits, right, to really find success. And there are also other coaching programs that we will recommend as well. And then when it comes to houses that we're about to acquire and we need to do more due diligence, a title search may make sense. We also offer this title search as well. Between 40 to 75 per property, depending on how many properties you have. Okay, so a lot of successful clients, right? Jordan got 2 deals in his first month, and this is a really cool way to kind of demonstrate, right? The deals. First deal he made 55,000, second deal 5,000, but I would be happy with 5,000 on the deal too. Salvador made $30,000 in his first deal, and more are on the way. And Ismail has kind of created a machine on creating consistent transactions, and the last 10 transactions he made $80,000. So if you want to be one of them, you can again scan this QR code and ask for a consultation, and we'll show you what the data looks like. And then you should also attend our Deal Makers live stream, which is this QR code, where you can learn about the most recent deals that we've been working on. We have deals updates. We have the underwriting, right? Some leads that we've been working on, how we underwrite and how we decide to come up with the offer. There's also market updates, right? So you can stay on top of the current trends, and that may or may not affect the direction of your investments. And then we also share wealth building techniques, which is, I think, what we're here for. Is real estate investment is a vehicle for us to build wealth and creating that long-term security. So we like going over that. I talked about an office hours. So how do you access that? I don't have the QR code here, but what you can do is to scan in this QR code. It will take you to our website, and then you under event, you can you'll be able to find the link to not just this live stream, but also the office hours and our open house. So we got a slew of events that we have created and we're bringing to you on a weekly basis. So join the community and introduce yourself if you like, and come learn and come share also. Now, with that said, that's what I have prepared for you today. I hope you enjoyed the talk. I certainly really enjoyed being here, and thank you, and best of luck and happy investing.